Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Margarita and today I'm here to bring you my October wrap up. So, first thing I'm going to apologize for is the state of my appearance. I'm a little bit of a mess. It's a reflection of my life at the moment. Also, I'm sorry if the camera shakes. Duke is laying right next to my bed and keeps bumping into it, making the camera shake. And also, if, a giant black head just shows up right here, it's my dog. It's okay. Hopefully he'll move out of the way. So, let's just get into the video. So, I read a total of 5 things in the month of October. And I'm not going to lie, I was very disappointed with myself in the very beginning because last month I read 13 books. The month before that I read like 12 books. And I feel like as someone of part of the booktube community, I'm only, I guess, valid or a good booktuber if I read a lot of books per month, which is not always realistic for me, or for anyone for that matter. I've had a lot of things going on this month, especially with getting applications and interviews and stuff for school. So that has taken out most of my time and my energy. And also I've been in a little bit of a reading slump because I've been trying to force myself to read books that aren't interesting me in the moment. So stop, just relax. So just a lot of things added up to me not reading a whole lot this month. And I've gotten to the point at the end of the month that that's okay. I don't have to read 10 plus books a month in order to be considered a good booktuber, because I'm a booktuber. I make videos about books. That's what makes me a booktuber. Anyway, long intro aside, let's get into the 5 books that I read. These are no, this is not about you. Go on. Go. Well, if you're gonna stand there, you have to go. Yeah, hold on. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to do these books in order of least favorite to most favorite. Sit down, please. Sorry, I have to strong arm the dog. Oh, and a llama is now joining us to the party, so this is going to be fun. The first book, and the first book that I finished this month, is The Dead Fathers Club by Matt Haig. And this is the first book by Matt Haig I finished. I started The Humans. I couldn't finish it before I had to give it back to the library. So this is the first one that I've actually finished. And I have to say I'm a little disappointed in this story. This is basically a retelling of Hamlet. So it follows our main character, Philip Noble, who's 11 years old, and his father dies. And after the funeral, at the funeral, he starts to see his father's ghost. Hold on, just a moment. Could you please sit down? No, sit down. Don't drop the llama. Sit. Just sit. Okay, well, you put it there. So, he decides, his father tells him, the only reason I'm a ghost is because I'm murdered. Only murdered people become ghosts. And I need you to avenge my death because your uncle killed me. So that's the story. And he doesn't want to kill his uncle because he's 11 years old. I mean, that's a big thing to place on an 11-year-old. So it's basically that story. And I gave this, I believe, 2 out of 5 stars. It was just lackluster. It didn't leave me with anything spectacular. Honestly, the only reason I finished this is because I was listening to it as an audiobook. And even then, I just wasn't all that interested. I think I dozed off at one point. So it's just not for me, and that's fine. Not all books have to be for you. Another book that was not for me and makes me very, very sad is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So this is the first time I've ever actually read Frankenstein. I tried a couple years ago, couldn't get into it, and just kind of walked away and thought I'll save it for another year. And everybody knows what this story is about. I'm not gonna... Briefly, this is a gothic horror story where our young scientist Frankenstein decides to build this monster, and it's unleashed on the world. And this is not at all what I was expecting it to be, because it starts off with this guy writing letters to his sister and talking about his time at sea and how he's so lonely and he wants a friend and nobody on the ship is really his friend, and how all of a sudden they pick up this strange guy in the middle of the Antarctic, and how this guy has this story to tell. So then you hear Frankenstein's story, and then after that you hear Frankenstein's monster story, and then you go back to Frankenstein's story, and then you go back to the guy writing the letters. It just wasn't what I was expecting. I found the writing a little too much and also boring at the same time, if that makes any sense. I was really hoping to love this because I love all the retellings. I love, the adaptation in Penny Dreadful. I love the actual story, but this was just not for me. And that's okay. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It's not a bad book. It's just not a book for me. And also, that's okay. The next book that I have to talk about is The Prisoner of Heaven by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is the 3rd book in this loose... It's not a trilogy, but all the books are like, what is the word? Companion novels. And so this is the 3rd companion. And this follows Fermin's story. Fermin is a character that you meet in the Shadow of the Wind. He's Daniel's almost best friend. And it follows Fermin's story and the origin of Fermin and who he is and what's going on in his life. And honestly, compared to this and the Angels game, this one was just kind of lacking compared to this. Compared to the Shadow of the Wind and the Angels game, this one was just... It was okay. It just wasn't as good. And I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I'm glad that I read it. I don't think that Fermin's story was necessarily boring. I think that this book just wasn't on the same level as the other 2. And I believe that there is another book, and I believe that I have it. I believe it's the Labyrinth of Spirits. And I am planning on reading that, probably not by the end of the year, but soon, because I think that this ending, this ending leads into that next book. So, yeah, not my favorite Carlos Ruiz Zafón, but also not my least favorite. So it's somewhere in the middle. So, there's that one. And I read 2 more books. The next book that I have to talk about is The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. This is the 3rd book in the Girl Meets Duke series. And I absolutely love this. It was so precious. And so this basically follows Penelope, who is a highborn lady who takes care of all the unwanted creatures that are in England, it seems like. And can you sit down? And so she has like otters and cows, Highland steers. She has a dog that is a pain in the butt, kind of like this one, but probably cuter. Cats, any unwanted creature she takes on. There's a parrot who used to live in a whorehouse, which is hilarious. So that's who she is as a person. She just has a lot of love to give, and she gives it to the unwanted creatures. So then, Gabriel Duke is the man who moves in next door, and he's renovating the house, and his whole goal is to sell that house at a really high price because Lady Penelope lives next door. And everybody thinks Lady Penelope is the spinster, and he meets her and he's like, holy crap, she's super pretty. I want to have all the sex with her. And it's their love story, and it's so cute. And April from April is Maximus basically calls this love story, it's a love story between a Hufflepuff and a Slytherin. And at first I was like, you're crazy. You're just putting Harry Potter references all over the place that don't need to be there. But she's right. It is a Hufflepuff and a Slytherin, and it is so cute. And there are definitely dark themes in this. Dark themes. Like, they're trigger warning for sexual assault and grooming in the past. And, coming to terms with that and, not letting that define who you are as a person. And that's one of my favorite things to read about, because of the work that I do. So between that and The Animal Love, this book was just so amazing. I gave it 4 stars, which is a very high rating for me for a romance novel. I usually don't give above a 3, but this was just everything I needed in my life, and I flew through this, and I absolutely loved it. And last but not least, the last book that I read, and I actually just finished earlier today, was Rolling in the Deep by Mira Grant, and this is the prequel novella to Into the Drowning Deep. So it basically follows the events of this ship, now I can't remember the name of it, that the first ship looking for mermaids. It follows that story and what happened to those people. And it was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. Those are the kinds of mermaids I want to be reading about. Killer mermaids that will rip your face off and don't give a shit. Like, yes, please. 10 out of 10. 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely hope that she writes more books in that world because I love it so much. It's everything that I want. So those are the 5 books that I read in the month of October. I had lofty goals and just did not end up working out, but that's okay. Hopefully November will be better. I have a plan for November. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you've read these books, your thoughts and opinions on these books, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!